I think we're in the middle of a national identity crisis right now. That's where we are as a country. Faith, patriotism, hard work, family, the things that used to ground us as Americans, these things have disappeared. That leaves a black hole in our hearts, and that's when the poison fills the void. Pick your favorite one: wokeism, transgenderism, climatism, COVIDism, depression, anxiety, fentanyl, suicide. It's not an accident that we see the rise of these same secular poisons at the same time. They're symptoms of a deeper void of identity and purpose and meaning. And I think it is going to take someone from the next generation, from my generation, to reach the next generation of Americans and fill that vacuum with the vision of American national identity, answering who we are as Americans. That's how we dilute the poison to irrelevance. That's what pulled me into the race. I saw the red wave that never came last November. I'm a businessman by background. I'm not a politician. I'm an entrepreneur. My parents came to this country with no money 40 years ago. I have founded multiple multi-billion-dollar companies. I take on bureaucracies and I win. That's my background. But I did not imagine being in politics. But when I saw the direction of our country, we had two sons. Our second one was born last year. Watching the country they grow up in, the American dream that we grew up in, I do not believe is available to that next generation in the same way. And then I see what the Republican Party's doing. A party that has been running from something for a long time, pointing to the left, pointing to the radical Biden agenda, without offering a vision of their own. That's what pulled me into this race, is that we dilute the poison to irrelevance not by playing whack-a-mole, but by offering an alternative vision of our own. So I talk about that vacuum. The left fills that vacuum with race, gender, sexuality, climate. I want us to offer an alternative grounded in the individual, family, nation, God. That beats race, gender, sexuality, and climate if we have the courage to actually stand for something. So for me, that's what this is really about. I'm an America First conservative, yes. But to put America first, we have to rediscover what America is. I think we live in a 1776 moment, and it will take somebody whose best days in life are, I hope, still yet ahead, to see a country whose best days are ahead of itself too. That's my pitch. I'm an outsider, I'm a businessman, and I'm a leader from the next generation who can reach the next generation and revive our national identity. And so that's why when the policies that I then advance, they're grounded in that principle of who we are as Americans. Not just build the wall, use our military to secure the border. Why? Because we're a nation founded on the rule of law. That's who we are. I'm against affirmative action and race-based quotas. Why? Is it because I have any animus? No. It's because we stand for meritocracy. That's a pro-American principle. Stand for free speech and open debate. Shutting down the administrative state, is that just a policy? Well, it's grounded in who we are as Americans, because we believe the people we elect to run the government ought to be the ones who actually run the government, not the unelected class of bureaucrats. So we can go into policy, but so one of the things about me in this campaign, and I've been intentional about this, I rarely talk about Republicans versus Democrats. I rarely talk about even railing against Biden specifically, even though that's what the traditional Republican talking points call for. There's a number of reasons for that, but one of them is that I don't think the dividing lines in this country are what the media or what the establishment in both parties sell us. I don't think it's between black and white. I don't even think it's between Republican and Democrat. I think it is between those of us in this country who love the United States of America and our founding ideals. The ones I was just talking about: free speech, meritocracy, the rule of law, self-governance over aristocracy. The idea that we the people create a government accountable to us rather than the other way around. That's one side of the national divide. And then on the other side of the national divide are those, and they exist in this country, who wish to apologize for the existence of this nation, who wish to apologize for those ideals, who will say we were founded in 1619, not 1776, that the stain of our imperfections in the past still make our ideals hypocritical even today. That's the divide in this country. But here's the good news. I don't think that's a 50-50 divide. I think that is easily an 80-20 divide in our favor in the direction of the pro-American movement. And even better news is half the 20 are people younger than me who never learned those ideals in the first place. I've gone to more college campuses than any Republican candidate probably in history, including in this state. And I can tell you, it's not that young people are against the founding ideals, it's that they're lost and don't know what to believe. So I think we can bring half that 20 along with us, which means we can deliver a Reagan 1980 style landslide election if we bring that next generation along with us. That will call the bluff on national division. So if you turn on the media or you turn on your phone, social media app or cable news at night, yeah, sure, it looks like we're a nation divided to our breaking point. And that's probably what I thought when I started my book tours and even towards the start of this campaign. I've been to a majority of the states in this union. I can tell you now with conviction that when it comes to the basic rules of the road, free speech, open debate, meritocracy, the pursuit of excellence, the overwhelming majority, 80+% of us, agree on the basic rules of the road. Now, we might disagree on the details, corporate tax rates being high or low, abortion. I'm not dismissing the importance of those issues. But in the basic principles, most of us agree. And so the way I look at it is this. If you agree with me on those basic rules of the road, we're on the same team. We can disagree on some of the details and we can still be on the same team. That's how we unite this country, not by saying Republicans versus Democrats. How do you show up in the middle and compromise on some policies? That's a fake national unity. The real national unity is reviving the shared ideals that unite us across our differences, right? I mean, even just look at this room we're in today. Right, we've got at least a couple shades of melon, and I brought one of them, right? We've got two genders in the room. So what? And we've gotten so accustomed to celebrating our diversity and our differences that we forgot all of the ways we're really the same as Americans. E pluribus unum as our creed, from many one. And so I think I am going to be the single best positioned candidate to actually unite this country. But I want to unite the whole country, not just the people who are closest to the 50-yard line. I want to go from goal line to goal line. I'm using a football analogy. We're on our way to the football game and the tailgate later today. But that's what I believe is possible. But it's going to take a different kind of leader outside of the traditional partisan politic boxes that politicians are trained to grow up in. Someone from the outside, from the next generation to actually do it. But that's the way I think we're going to do this, is many of the ideas that I reject. Further involvement in the Ukraine war. Well, that's a bipartisan consensus right now of sending more of our taxpayer money to Ukraine, which I don't think advances our interests. And so that's one way in which I think I defy the standard partisan lines on these issues, but puts me in a better position to unite all of us by rejecting the black versus white division or the red versus blue division for that matter. Because I think most, if you turn off the TV screens and the social media apps and you actually visit people in this country, I think most of us share those ideals in common. I think most of us believe that our neighbors and our classmates and our colleagues and the parents of our kids' classmates share those ideals too. But we're not sure anymore because we don't feel free to talk about it. And so that's actually also part of this campaign, is close the gap between what people are willing to say in public and what they're willing to say in private. That gap is as wide as it has ever been in my lifetime. That's why the things I'm saying in the campaign, sometimes with the mainstream media, will get me in trouble. At times, that's okay. We're closing the gap between what people say in public and private, and that's how we actually revive national unity in this country. That we might not agree on everything, but we respect each other to tell each other what we actually believe. That's what we've lost in this culture of fear. And I don't know, I think it was this paper actually, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was the whole incident with the cartoon that somebody. Yeah, that was this paper, right? It's just an example of where I come from. Is people were critical of the cartoonist, etc. I don't want to see that person canceled, right? I would disagree with the premise. I did disagree with the premise of the cartoon, but I don't want to become the country where we tell that person, or that person becomes culturally banished because they made a mistake or said something I disagree with. We have protesters that'll show up at our event from time to time. My rule is you get the mic if you're a protester, as long as you stay and you listen to what everybody else has to say. But I think that's the example of how we set for what a leader actually does in this country, it's not that we're going to agree on everything. But we're still the country where you get to express yourself freely as long as I get to in return. And I see threats to that culture coming from both the left and, frankly, if you look at recently, from the right and from Republicans as well. And I think that's by sticking to principles, the First Amendment, the Constitution, that's how I think I'm going to be able to unite this country, and it's why I'm in this race.